Well, hello again. This is Ronnie Phillips. As I've told you several times before, I'm the undergrad TA for the GIS 3500 class, and today we're going to be tackling Lab 3, your first real map with titles and north arrows and legends and all that cool stuff. First, what we have to do is we have to get a hold of all of our data. And you can find that here in the lab overview. It says the zip file can be downloaded from this link. So we'll go ahead and download that. It contains these shape files. So we'll go ahead and find that. I really shouldn't have to tell you all this stuff anymore because you've done it several times. But we'll go ahead and cut it. We'll put it into our GIS folder, 3500. Call this Lab 3. If I can type Lab 3, we're going to call this data, PA, and we'll drop that zip file right there. Go ahead and extract all. Go ahead and extract. Go ahead and take a look in this folder. We see all of our shape files right here. Okay. So we're done with this. We're going to go on to part 1 of 4, Lab 3. And this is a review on making symbology. Let's go ahead and pull up my ArcMap here. And I'm going to get this on the other screen here first. Here we go. Okay. So this really doesn't go back into, there are some things you should know. So this is pretty standard stuff. What we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a blank map here. Probably didn't need to do that, but so we're going to add our layers in the ArcMap. This, as you know, the instruction here says there's a few ways to do it. This is actually my preferred way to add data in here rather than doing by Arc Catalog, because in Arc Catalog, you kind of have to do it one by one. It's just easier for me to go into add data, navigate to that folder, and if you are not connected to the GIS 3500 folder, you can hit connect to folder here, connect to that folder just like this. We hit documents, connect to that folder, hit OK, there you go. But so we're going to drop this down, and here's my GIS 3500 folder right there. I stored all my data in Lab 3, so we're going to open Lab 3, data, there's Lab, that. Okay, so you can click and drag on this like this, and just hit add, and it adds all that stuff automatically. Real quick. But the other issue with this is that you don't really have too much of a say in how these are ordered. But I really prefer to do it that way, just because it's easier for me to be able to do this and have to open our catalog and drag folders, or shapefiles in one by one. Okay, so if you choose to use catalog, you can do it like that too. Um, no big deal. There's many different ways in GIS to do one thing. There's no right way to do it. It's just what you can remember and how you can do it most quickly and most efficiently. So we're going to go in. We're going to go in. Go to number 2. It says reorder layers. Make sure UNT occupied sites is dragged to the bottom. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and reorder these according to what the instruction has here. We've got parking space should be here. Road should be next. Building should be next, and then UNT occupied site should be next. Okay. So let's click the polygon symbol under UNT occupied sites to open the symbol selector. We're going to choose leather brown for this. I always laugh at I'm not even sure if it shows up right here. I always laugh at the names that they give these. I have no idea where leather brown might be. Cordovan brown, cocoa brown, leather brown. There we go. Okay. If you didn't know any before, this is leather brown. So, okay, so we chose leather brown. We're going to go ahead and hit OK on that. We're going to choose appropriate colors for building and road. You know, it says choose a color that has sufficient contrast from the background. Okay, so let's kind of zoom in and see what these buildings look like, huh? Now these are your buildings. Here's your roads. Let's see, for road, oh, I don't know. We'll, you don't have to follow this. I don't know. Let's just pick kind of a grayish color. See what happens. Yeah, I kind of like that. And we'll go into building here, and what stands out from brown, huh? I don't know. Let's try a couple of different colors here. Let's try. I know orange isn't going to try it, but let's just see what it looks like. Yeah, it kind of blends into that brown. Too close to brown. Let's try something else. I don't know. Let's try green, huh? Let's try medium apple. See what that looks like. Yeah, we can definitely see that. Okay, so we've got some colors for building a road. You don't have to pick those colors. You need to start kind of thinking like a cartographer. And cartography is kind of, you know, the thinking about the aesthetics and appearance of a map. So that's kind of what you want to start thinking of. Pick your own colors. You know, you don't have to use these colors. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong. It's really more or less whether or not a thing works for its layout. If I had chosen leather brown for building, that wouldn't work. And that orange really didn't work because it was too close to, you know, too close to that brown color. So you really have to think through about what works for your map. What's the best way that the colors are going to work together to create an aesthetically pleasing map. Okay? So it says for the parking space, number 5, we need to make its symbology more informative by assigning a different symbol to each parking space type. So we're going to examine the attribute table of parking space. So let's go ahead and pull up the attribute table. Right click, attribute table. And they want you to, they ask how many unique values are in the field type. There's a couple of different ways to do that. There's 184 of these. And you can figure it out several different ways. I'll let you figure that out on your own. Well, actually, it says right here, you can check the unique, for number 6, you can check the unique values by sorting the field in either ascending or descending. So we'll right click on type, we'll go to ascending, and yeah, you can do it like that. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it looks like there's 13 different types, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense to me, 13 different types. Okay, so now that we've figured out how many different types that we have, we can close the table, and we'll open the the layer properties of parking space. It's pretty easy to do. You can right click on it and go to properties, or you can just double click on it and it'll open properties. Whichever way works. There's no right or wrong way to do it. So we've got the symbology tab open. Go ahead and click that if you haven't. Under show, we're going to click on categories. And we've got unique values selected by default. So in the value field over here, and if you're following along in the instruction, this is number 9. In the value field, we're going to click type, and then we're going to click add all values. And we can see that, you know, how many, we can see our different values right here. They've got, you know, here's the label associated with it, the count, that just tells you how many are coded A. It's 10. ADA is, there's 9 of those. You know, Eagle's got 69 of those. FS has got 38. You know, on and on like that. So, you know, no big deal. Okay, so we've clicked on Add All Values, and we're going to change our color ramp to a different color. Let's just pick a color. Let's pick this one right here. You can pick whatever color you like, or whatever color ramp you like. When you come out of it, make sure that your parking spaces, you don't want to click something like this, because these colors are too close to each other. And I'll actually click on it and show you what I mean. If we're trying to differentiate between the A and ADA, these colors are really close together, and it's the same with, you know, it's the same with all of these. You know, you can't tell the difference, you know, visually. If you're looking at it on a map, you probably aren't going to be able to tell the difference between Eagle parking and FS parking. So you want to kind of choose a color ramp that's going to give you some different colors, and you can, you know, scroll through here and find one that you want, but make sure that the colors for this type of map differentiate between each other. So I'm going to pick this one right here. Just seems like something to pick. Also, we're going to uncheck Add All Values here. So yeah, we've got the color ramp done. We've got our we've got this unchecked, and all of these are kind of different colors. I don't really like it too much because this green is kind of too close to this green, but it's going to work for now. Same with the Eagle here. This color here is too close to this color here, and I'm not going to go back through and, you know, change the color ramp just to, you know, be able to fit that. But that's something you need to keep in mind for your own maps. When you start creating these, you want to have different colors that stand out from each other. And so, we're going to go on, and it says number 11, the outline of the polygon seems unnecessary. Okay, you can remove all outlines at once. Right-click on the symbol, and choose Symbols Properties for all symbols, and we'll give the outline color a no color. And that just strips it of color. There's no black, it's not anything. We'll hit OK, and we'll hit OK to see what happens. Hey, we've got color-coded parking spaces. And so this is going to bring us to Lab 2, or actually, not Lab 2, the second part of the lab. So we're going to create a page layout. And this is how you're actually going to export your map for printing or for emailing or however you need to send your map out. And so it says ArcMap provides 2 ways to view a map: data view and layout view. The way you switch in between those two is down here. You can do it down here. This right here is map view, or I'm sorry, data view. And this button right here is layout view. And there's a way, you know, you can go in here and change that too. You've got data view and layout view here too. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I usually use these buttons to swap back and forth. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into layout view. Whoa, that looks a lot different than what we've seen here. Probably need to explain a couple of things here. This right here is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. You can see by your ruler up here, this is 8.5 wide by 11 inches tall. So this is a sheet of paper. This is your map that goes on your sheet of paper. And so what you have to start thinking through here is the best way to show your map on this sheet of paper. This is a separate map element. You want to be able to show this element as clearly as possible on your sheet of paper. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to change the layout orientation. That's going to change the shape or the orientation of this. This is going to turn it from portrait to landscape. And we're going to do that because you can see that this whole area right here that we're trying trying to highlight is longer than it is wide. So you're going to be able to show more of this in a landscape orientation than a portrait orientation. Okay, so let's change our orientation. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. I usually go to File, Page and Print Setup, and just click on Landscape right here in the middle of the window. We'll hit OK, and that changed the sheet of paper to landscape, but you see it didn't do anything to my map right here, right? And we'll fix all that. This can kind of get a little how it looks best to the observer, and we're going to kind of shift back and forth between thinking like a cartographer and thinking like an observer who's going to sit there and look at your map and try to figure things out from it, right? What you need to look at this, when you're looking at this, you need to first think about, if I have never been to UNT and I don't know any of this stuff, I want to know where to park. How do I show that on this map? And you kind of have to shift back and forth, you know, between those modes of thinking. And this, you can actually set up many different sizes. You can do it from, I've created I've created maps that are literally 200 inches wide by 8 feet tall. Literally. You don't want to see the printer that had to print those things out. These things can be giant. And that's how you do it. You go into File, Page and Print Setup, and you can set up custom sizes for your maps. For this class, we're only going to be using 8.5 by 11, so you really don't have to worry about any of that. I'm just telling you what's possible. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move on to number 3. Well, number 3 already says set orientation to landscape. We did that, and the orientation has changed. But like I said, this data frame here is not aligned with the layout. And so to help you place these, you can use guides to do this. Guides can be a little bit wonky. I use them when I need them. So it's kind of going to be, in the future, it's kind of going to be based on how you want to use your guides to align things. Okay, so it even says in the instruction, these guides help you align and position data frames and map elements, but do not appear on the printed map. So these guides, they're on the map or on your screen only. They're not going to appear on your actual printed map. Okay, so number 5 says place the mouse pointer over the vertical ruler on the left side of the display. That sits over here. Click to add a guide at 2 inches. So that's here. Click that. Got a guide at 2 inches. Hey. Okay, so number 6 says click the data frame to select it. Once it is selected, it is outlined with the cyan dash and marked with selection handles. That's these things right here, handles. Move the mouse pointer over the data frame, and it becomes a 4-headed arrow. We're going to use this, and we're going to drag the frame. We can do this, and we can do this, and it's going to snap to that guide right there, right? And we're going to kind of scoot this over a little bit, just to kind of move it out of the way. We'll drop this down to just to have it like this. In the instruction, it has it coming all the way out to this margin here, so we'll put it there. Okay, and now we'll move on to that was number 7. Place the mouse pointer over the selection at the lower right hand. Yeah, you just drag it over, just like that. There we go. I could probably do that a little better. Come on, mouse. There. Nope. 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 Come on. There. We're going to leave it like that. Okay. So we'll move on to number 8. It says, ideally it is best to place the focal content here at the UNT campus in the center. One useful way of examining a study area is to zoom into a layer's extent in the display. This is a quick and easy method to zoom into the area of concern. Remember this part of the instruction. This will pay huge dividends in the future if you just remember this part right here. I'm going to right click the building layer. I'm going to hit zoom to layer. And you see how that zoomed to just these buildings? Alternatively, what we would have had is we would have had to use our zoom tool and zoom in and kind of shift it over and figure out how to place it. No, you don't need to do that. All you got to do is hit right click, zoom to layer, and it zooms in for you. Perfect. No problems. Remember this, because you need to. One of the things in layout that I constantly see students having problems with is their zoom levels. They don't understand how to properly zoom into a good zoom level. So that's a very easy way of doing it. What you need to remember is, what do you want to see in your data frame? Right click on that field, or I'm sorry, not field, but layer, zoom to layer. If I had wanted to show all the roads, I could right click on road, I could zoom to layer, and I would show all the roads. That doesn't look very good, but if I wanted to show all the roads in Denton County, that's what I would do. I don't. I want to see the buildings and the parking lots. So zoom to layer. There we go. It's really important that you remember these in the future. Okay, so now that I'm done discussing all that stuff, we're going to move on to the next portion of this lab. This is going to be the third part of 4. So we're going to add titles. I'm going to show you what the what the instruction says, and then I'm going to show you what I do. You can do either. Like I keep saying, there's no right or wrong way to do this. There's the best way to do it that works for you. Now, all maps have titles. All good maps have titles, at least. If a map does not have a title, you're going to get points counted off. And it needs to be a decent title. So, start with number 1 on the menu bar, click Insert Title. So Insert Title. And this is going to ask you what you want to put. We're going to write UNT Parking Map. Click OK. And you can take this and change it around. It's too small. To change this around, you're supposed to use the Draw toolbar. And I usually don't do this. Let's find my Draw toolbar here. Draw. There it is. Okay, so you can change, all this stuff using the Draw. I double clicked on it to change this. Here's what I usually do. I'm going to go ahead and close this. You can do it either way. We're going to delete that. I usually go to Insert and Text. That puts a little text bar in the middle here. UNT Parking Map. It's easier for me to go in and change this right here rather than using Insert Title. Now, if you like working with Insert, Title, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. This is just the way I use it. I believe it's more flexible for me. But anyway, I'm going to change this. What does it say here? We're going to change the font, size, color. Let's change this to, we'll hit change symbol. We're going to change this to like, I usually do like 18 point. Make it bold. You can change the, if you want to change the font type, do that here. But I'm going to keep it as Arial. You can choose, one of these. I usually don't. These are usually for, cartography's sake, stuff like that. You can use, map title E size or D size or C, as long as it works for your map. But most of the time, it's just easier for me to go in and hit Arial, 18 point, bold, hit OK. We'll hit OK here. And so we've got a title. I'm just going to drag it, somewhere down here. Put it on my map somewhere. Let's scroll over just a little bit, kind of. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. There we go. Okay, so for the next part, we're going to add standard elements. We're going to add north arrows, scale bars, and legends. All good maps, with very few exceptions. You don't have any of these exceptions. We'll have a north arrow, a scale bar, and a legend, along with your title. All good maps have these. You need to keep that in your brain. If it's not there already from the previous instruction, all good maps have a title, north arrow, scale bar, and a legend. Keep that in your head. And so we're going to start adding some of these map elements. Okay, now that I've finished harping on north arrows and scale bars and legends, we're going to learn how to put one in here. You'll want to read through the parts in your written tutorial on this so you understand why they're in there. But we're going to show how to create a north arrow first. So in the instruction it says on number 1, on the menu bar we're going to click Insert and the north arrow. Pick a style and click OK. Generally speaking, I almost always use either this one or this one. You can use, whichever one you want, really. I will say that a lot of these are really more for like surveying maps or, real cartography maps. That's kind of what this one is for. They look nice and pretty and there's nothing wrong with them. But the same thing for this thing right here. But I choose to keep a cleaner map. That's not to say that this is would make your map dirty. It's just a little more than, it's kind of too much for, just a simple parking map, It's not wrong. But it's just, easier for me to, just pick Esri North 2, leave it at that, don't have to worry about anything else, okay? But you can use whatever map north arrow you want. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, now that I'm done harping on that, I'm going to, pick my north arrow, we'll hit OK. And it shows up, kind of randomly in your deal. And it says using the pointer, we're going to drag the north arrow to the upper left corner of the data frame. Right there. A note on north arrows. You see how it shows up right here? A north arrow is just there to provide reference for the viewer, to tell the viewer which way is north. If I click on this, I drag it out like that, I've got a gigantic north arrow that covers up everything. But even if I made it, really big like that, that's a huge part of your map. I mean, we can look in the, here. That's like a 4-inch north arrow. It's huge. The north arrow is just there to provide a reference. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to go back down to there. It's just for a general reference. It's not supposed to be a a major part of the aesthetics of your layout. Okay, you don't want a huge north arrow. You just want to show the viewer, hey, this is north. You're not concerned about a nice pretty north arrow or anything like that. You don't want to highlight your north arrow. Your map focus should not be on your north arrow. Your map focus should be this stuff right here, right? If you make this too big, it's going to be distracting. How big is too big? I'm going to leave that up to you. Just use your eyes. I usually just on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, I leave it like that. You don't have to resize it or anything. You can resize it if you want. Just make sure it's not too big. Make sure it's not too small. Like I said, it's just to orient the viewer. It needs to, take up a little space, but not too much space. Okay, so now we're going to add a scale bar. Insert scale bar. Okay, so number one, we're going to insert scale bar. And you can pick a style that you like. Again, this is going to be kind of what you choose to do. A lot of times it's just easier for me to pick the first one that pops up. And so you have to actually click on it for it to work. So we'll just go ahead and add it right now. And it shows up in the middle of this. And we're going to change some of the properties here. I encourage you to play around with some of these properties, okay? We're going to double click on it, play around with some of those properties. And in the instruction, it has you, adjust the division value. And the current scale has 2 divisions and 4 subdivisions. You can keep that like it is if you like. In the middle of the dialog box, we're going to hit when resizing. I'm going to adjust the width. That means when we go into here and we adjust the width, it's going to adjust some things in here. You'll see here in a second. In the scales and units, we're going to make these changes here. We're going to do it by 0.5. We're going to give it, the instruction says we're going to give it a 1 division, and that's, yeah, we're going to keep going. We're going to hit the numbers and marks tab. You can change the division height and subdivision height here. We're not going to do that here though. You can, on the format tab, we can change the size to 14, or a size that works for your map. We're just going to hit OK, and that will apply everything that we've just done. We're going to hit OK. And we're going to drag this to the lower right of this. Now, one of the things that I do whenever I create my scale bars is, I don't like how this miles just kind of sticks out here at the end here. So what you can do on that, I'm going to do it on mine, but you don't have to. You can see the division units, are here in miles. And you can change that to centimeters, all these different measurements. We're going to keep it in miles. For your labels, I like to choose below and center. And let's see what that looks like. See how that took that miles and stuck it under here? And so you don't have, you get to take up less space over there. For me, it makes a cleaner map. You don't have to do it like that. It's a little bit of extra work, but I happen to think a little bit of, 3 or 4 seconds of extra work in a map to make it cleaner looking is worth the time. Okay, so adding a legend. We're going to move into adding a legend. And number 1, it says insert legend. So we're going to insert legend. And it says change on number 2. It says change the set the number of columns in your legend to 4. This is going to give us 4 columns in our legend. We're going to hit next. It's kind of a wizard type thing that you're going to go through here. On the second panel of the wizard, you choose a title and font properties for the legend. And we're going to replace this legend here, parking permit types. Don't ever have legend in your legend title. People know this is a legend, so you don't have to tell them again that it's a legend. They're not interested in seeing that it's a legend. They are interested in seeing that this is coded by parking permit types, okay? Don't keep it as legend. Don't keep it as legend. It looks like I have too much space right there. I'm going to double check that. T space T. There we go. Okay, so that looks fine. We're going to hit next. There's options to add a border. You can explore that if you want, but you're not going to do that here. We're going to skip that and hit next. You can change the symbol patches. I very rarely do this. So we're going to, if you want to change symbol patch some other time, we'll do that. We're going to hit next. On the 5th panel, you can change the spacing between, what comes up in your legend. We're not really worried about that because this is pretty good right here. So we'll hit finish. And here's your legend, right there in the middle of everything. So we're going to adjust a few more settings and move the legend. So in the instruction, we're on number 7. I'm going to kind of move this down here right now. Double click the legend, and that'll open the legend properties dialog box. And you can tweak it and fine tune it that way. And so in the general tab, I'm going to click on the general tab. In the title frame, we're going to click the symbol button. Where is the title frame? Oh, that's here. We're going to click the symbol button. In the symbol selector, we're going to change this to 16. You don't have to keep it like that if you come out of it and it looks too big, too small, whatever. But for these purposes, I'm going to use 16. I'm going to hit OK. Next, we're going to go into the Items tab, which is right here. In the lower left corner, we're going to get Style. So we hit Style, and we're going to hit Properties. And this is how we can change some of the properties in this. This actually, here we go. We're going to click on General right here. And so we're going to clear out Show Layer Name and Show Heading. And what that's going to do is this is underneath this. You can't see it very well, but it's going to show it. The layer name, which is this layer name right here, parking space, would show up, and then this is the heading right here. Well, we've cleared those out, so they're not going to show up because nobody wants to see type and parking underscore space. Nobody wants to really see that. So we're going to hit OK. We're going to hit OK here. And so we're on number 11 in the instruction. It says the road, building, and UNT occupied sites are separate layers than the parking permits. You'll make them into an individual layer. So under the Items tab, click on the layer that is right below parking space. Here it's road. And then check the box, place columns in a new column. Right, yeah, we've got it checked. Yep, that's checked. Now we're going to change the font size. And number 12 says change the font size and type of all layers to make them consistent. We're going to select all. And we're going to change the size to, not there. We're going to change the size, just the size to 14. As always, you can change this to where it's going to fit on your map, but it's going to work for 14. And so let's hit apply and see what those changes look like. Changed it up some, huh? You can see that, like I said, that parking space and then the type is the header and the layer name. Those have disappeared. We've got, these are all like 14 point. Uh, so, a much better looking legend. So we're going to hit OK and kind of move this over. Move it down just a little. We'll move it back up. There we go. That's better. Okay, so one of the issues here is that we've got parking underscore occupied underscore sites. This is computer writing. That's what I call it anyways. Computer writing. I mean, nobody wants to see, underscores in a legend. You don't need to have that stuff in your maps. You want to fix that sort of thing. So we're going to change that layer name. So over here in the table of contents, you can see where that is. What reads here is reflected here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to, not that, I just double clicked on it. Okay, so we're going to rename this, and I just slow clicked on it. Actually, you can double click on this if you want. And click on General. And remember, we did this in another lesson. We changed the layer name. So we're going to call this UNT Campus. And if you watch down here, this is going to change, but this is going to change as well. We hit Apply. That changed UNT Campus. We hit OK. You can hit OK instead of hitting Apply on these things. I just choose to hit Apply because it saves me some steps just in case something doesn't work like I want it to. Excuse me. So, these two changed and it looks much better. It looks, it's more intuitive. People can read that and they don't see UNT occupied sites. They see UNT campus. All right, so from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and save. It's a really good idea. We'll hit Save As. This is not Triangle Map. This is Lab 3. We're going to call this, you don't have to store this in data, just store it outside of it. We're going to call it UNT Parking Map. Hit Save. And now we don't have to do all that stuff in case ArcMap crashes. Okay, so next, I'm on number 1 of add additional text. It says in the Draw toolbar, let's get my Draw toolbar open again. Here it is. You can dock this if you want. You can pull it up here. That's where I'm going to keep it. So on the Draw toolbar, click the text button arrow and click rectangle text. So that's this, and we'll do rectangle text. Press and drag the tool to draw a rectangle below the title. Yeah, put it right here. Okay, so we get an obvious box right here. It says text in there. We're going to double click on that text box. And we're going to give it some authorship information. So we're going to take text out of that, and we are going to type in our authorship. Author, Ronnie A. Phillips. Date, created. Today is June. What is today? The 20th? Yeah. 2021. This map is created for Geog 3500 week 3 lab. If everything looks okay there, it's going to be a 10-point font right here. We'll just hit OK. There we go. So we've got our authorship block right there, surrounded by a box. Actually, the instruction has you, it says for number 3, click the properties dialog, change symbol. So we'll hit change symbol. We'll change it to 12. And then we'll hit OK. And then we'll hit OK again. And then we'll adjust that to where it looks normal. Okay, so from here, all we really have to do is just kind of start playing around with things. It says your map should look like this, and there's a picture of it. Let's do a little bit with that to kind of make it look like it's supposed to. Put that there. We'll kind of center this on top of my block there. Yeah, it looks okay. Kind of have to use your eye to get it in place sometimes. We'll stick our... You should probably spend more time on this than I am, but you know what? Take this out. Select this again, and we're going to stick it right there. We'll take this and stick it right there. We'll take our scale bar, stick it right there, and I'm going to adjust this. Play around with it a little bit. There we go. That's pretty close to what the instruction shows. So that's it for the third portion of the lab. We're on the home stretch now. We're going to go to the fourth part. Set print options. Okay, so your map is almost ready, but we need to export it to send to a printer. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit File and Export Map. And some stuff comes up. We're going to navigate to our document folder, GIS 3500. This is going to be in Lab 3. And so this is the project folder for this lab. I'm on number 2 in the instruction. It says click JPEG in the Save As type. So make sure it says JPEG. Definitely not any of these others, just JPEG. The file name is automatically entered in, well, not necessarily, but we're gonna change this to read UNT map .jpg. You can change this to read whatever you want, as long as you. I would probably recommend keeping it as UNT map. Often on some of my in some of the things that I have to submit, I'll put my name in on the end, Phillips. Just in case for some weird reason, the files get dissociated, they know it's from me. So from here, it says you can look at this stuff, but we've already gone over this. We know that it wants to be a JPEG. And we're going to change this to 300 dpi. 300 dpi is really good quality for a map. So if you want a high quality printed map, change it to 300 dpi. So we're on number 3 in the instruction. We're going to hit save, and that's going to save a JPEG with this name right here in Lab 3. Hit save. There's your map. That's about it. What you can do is you can, just to check and make sure it's there, we're going to navigate to that folder. This is my Lab 3 folder. This PC, Documents, ArcGIS, GIS 3500, Lab 3, and we can see that here's my UNT map _ Ronnie Phillips JPEG file. Easy stuff. This is what you're going to upload to for your submission. Don't submit anything else but a JPEG. Don't submit your ArcMap document. Don't submit a shapefile. Any of that stuff. Submit this. Give me a JPEG file. You should only be able to submit JPEGs. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but that's it. Don't submit a screenshot. submit this file. And we say this a lot, and then people end up submitting screenshots of their MXD, their ArcMap document. Submit the JPEG file. So that's it. That's it for this instruction. I mean, this it took a little bit. This is going on 50 minutes now, but I think that with this walkthrough, you're gonna be able to use a lot of these layout techniques in the future for going through this course. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking now. Hopefully, you've been able to follow along, and your maps will gonna work out to be great.